Any idea what the S stands for? The S is for safer practices. Safer practices. What does that mean? It means we don't say to you, HIV can be transmitted through an operation, therefore you should never have an operation. It says HIV can be transmitted through an operation, therefore make sure that you use sterile implements when you're performing an operation. Huh? It's a safer practice. It says to you, HIV can be sexually transmitted. It doesn't say to you, therefore never have sex. But it says to you, get yourself tested, know your HIV status, use a condom. Huh? It teaches you safer practices. It doesn't say to you, HIV can be transmitted from mother to child in vertical transmission, therefore never have a child. Huh? We don't want to end Tanzania. Huh? We don't want to end Tanzania, but we want to say that there are safer practices. There are things we can do to prevent vertical transmission or mother-to-child transmission. So what are those? A is access. And it's access to antiretrovirals, the treatment, the medication, and it's access to nutrition, and it's access to psychosocial support. It's access to all of these things. Because I can give you medication, but if you don't have food, it's not going to help you. I can give you food, and if you don't have medication, it's not going to help you. I can give you food and medication, and if no one's helping you deal with your depression, do you understand this? Please say if you don't understand, because then we need to just get translation. We don't want to be lost in translation. You happy? The V stands for voluntary, confidential, regular counseling and testing. VCT. Because if you don't know your status, all the information in the world is not going to save you. If you don't go and get a test, they cannot initiate you onto treatment. If they do not initiate you onto treatment, you will continue to get sicker and sicker. So the gateway into all services for HIV is through testing. And so we have to have voluntary counseling and testing. The good news for you is that here we will make sure that testing is available for all of you, for all of us. But don't worry, we won't publish your results. It's okay. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. But it is important that if we take HIV seriously, all of us must know our HIV status. Why? Huh? Because then when I say to you, have you been tested? And you say, no. Then I say to you, but you must get tested. And you say, but what's it like? And I say, I don't know, I haven't been tested. Huh? That doesn't work. That doesn't work. I must be able to say to you, they take a little prick on my finger, and they took a little bit of blood, and I had to wait for 10 minutes, that's all. And then they could say to me, this is your HIV status. But doesn't it hurt? No, it doesn't hurt. Weren't you frightened? Yes, of course I was frightened. But you know what? When I knew the answer, I had peace. So if I can't have that conversation with you, how do I encourage you to get tested? So if we are going to work in the field of HIV, we must know our HIV status. Why do I say regular? You see, I'm going to marry your daughter. Your daughter's in love with me and I'm in love with your daughter. And so you say to me, you know, last week I was on a S.A.V.E. training. And they taught me that you must know your status. So there's no marriage with my daughter unless you've been tested. I don't mind, positive or negative, but you have to know your status. And I said, this is easy. You see, here's my certificate. I got tested. And you see, it even says I'm HIV negative. Huh? It's nice, huh? Are you happy for me? And you say, let me have a look at that. Yeah, this was in 1998. Is that okay? No. Why? I got tested. There's a lot of life between 1998 and now. Huh? So that's why we say regular. Because you can't say what was true 20 years ago is still true today. All right. And the E is for empowerment. Okay. Empowerment. Build capacity. So when I'm here sharing with you about S.A.V.E., we are being empowered. Because hopefully you know more than you knew yesterday. Hopefully you will know even more by the time we get to Friday. Hopefully by the time we get to Saturday you'll be running to your parishes saying, we're going to be holding a workshop. Huh? And they'll say, why? And they'll say, because we're going to empower everyone in this community about HIV. So, it's that thing that we share. We empower. All right. And there are many, many aspects to empowerment. And we'll talk through some of them. Any questions on this? Yes, sir.
Yeah. Thank you for any information of SAVE, but I'm reflecting on the other way, the other.
You like the sex?
No.
Oh.
I like it.
Okay.
But I'm asking on the methodology.
Yes.
No, you have told us that this methodology has problems about how it works, but are there only two methodologies until now you are working with? The ABC and the S.A.V.E., or are there other methodologies?
Well, there have been some different approaches. You know, there are people who say A, B, C, D, for instance. Well, I come from Namibia. In Namibia, we had A, B, C, D. It was abstain, If you can't abstain, be faithful. If you can't be faithful, use a condom. If you won't use a condom, die. That's what we taught in Namibia. It's nice. It's Christian. Huh? It's about faith. Yes.
Die meaning die.
Oh, okay. So maybe, I mean, it's almost 10 o'clock, so if we want to, can we just wait for a few minutes, and then when we break for tea, they can get keys. Okay. They wanted you to hand in your keys in the morning when you come here, so that they can clean your rooms. So I'm saying to them, pole, just wait a bit. Is that okay? Okay. So the thing is that there are many things that we can put here, because this is holistic. So you asked me, if we do S.A.V.E., does that mean we no longer saying you must abstain? No, because we think that abstinence is a safer practice. Do you see? It's a safer practice. Do you say we should no longer be faithful? I say no, you should no longer be faithful. We must have mutual fidelity. That means I can't be faithful to my wife and my wife is seeing everyone else. Huh? Then how does my faithfulness work? It doesn't help. So we say mutual fidelity. You see, we try to be very specific in the S.A.V.E. toolkit. Do we say you should not use condoms? No, we say you should use condoms. You should use, so this is designed to be very holistic and cover all those different prevention strategies. Okay. Other questions? Other questions? None? All right. So then what I'm going to ask you to do is we're going to do S.A.V.E. one more time. And this time, I'm going to ask you to tell me your prevention strategy. So now I'm not asking you to tell me about something that you have heard of. I'm asking you to tell me what is it that you are doing to make sure that you are protecting yourself and others from HIV. Don't tell me what you think other people should do. Tell me what you are doing. Yes. You faithful. Is it mutual fidelity? Okay. All right. So, can you see that we can take responsibility for ourselves? We can't always take responsibility for the others that we are engaged with. Huh? So I'm going to put here mutual fidelity because that's what's important in that one.
But how can I control this mutual fidelity?
You can't.
Because the issue of two people.
Yes. Or 3 or 4. And no. But it's also something that you can speak to your spouse about. And you can say to your spouse, you know, there was a film that was produced many years ago. It was called The King and I. And in The King and I, Anna was speaking to the king, because the king had many, many wives. And he said to Anna, I have all these wives. And Anna said, but how can that be? You know, what about this thing, this mutual fidelity? And the king says, no, you see, a woman is like a flower, but a man is like a bee who has to go from flower to flower to flower. But you need to be able to speak to your partner and say, there's no other flowers. There are no other bees. Let us be safe for us. For us. And maybe what you need to say to your spouse is, if we're not sure, let's use a condom. Because